SCP-1144. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1144 currently resides in the 5th storage basement of the Low Priority Electronic Equipment and Instruments Vault, Row 32C, within a steel footlocker labeled SCP-1144. Both SCP-1144 and SCP-1144-1 require cleaning once a week, using disinfectant towels. Do not use water to clean either SCP-1144 or SCP-1144-1. Do not press any of the buttons in the process of cleaning SCP-1144. The footlocker itself does not require maintenance. TTT. Description: SCP-1144 resembles an Orion HR-120 analytical balance, a common brand of precise weighing scales. Like the HR-120, SCP-1144 is a box-like structure, measuring 21.3 cm x 32.0 cm x 30.2 cm, consisting of a base, which presumably houses the electronic components of the device, and a transparent cage. The base itself comprises an LCD display, as well as several buttons for adjusting the scales. Note: these buttons appear to have no effect on the functioning of SCP-1144, or the results it provides. SCP-1144 is permanently active. The display will show no signs of being on until an object is placed upon the scales, at which point, the display will activate, providing a reading for the observer. It should be noted that the reading SCP-1144 provides is not a measurement of the object's mass. Repeated testing seems to suggest that both mass and weight are entirely irrelevant. Ongoing testing has yielded no indication of what exact objective quantity SCP-1144 is able to measure, although tenuous patterns have been established. For example, two similar objects will tend to produce similar readings. Under normal conditions, SCP-1144 provides its data to 3 decimal places. During initial testing, each object was weighed 3 times, and each time similar readings were produced. This was taken to be evidence that SCP-1144 is in fact weighing a particular quantity, which varies in magnitude amongst a given set of objects. The source of the fluctuations are still unknown. Testing I. Experimental data log, involving Dr. and junior researchers and. This log documents the findings of the preliminary research team, 2 days following the retrieval of SCP-1144 from its home on the 3rd floor of an unowned flat in Brixton, London. Object: pencil, brand new, red, blunt, reading, 3.000. Object: pencil, brand new, red, sharp, reading, 5.013. Object: ballpoint pen, brand new, black ink, reading, 17.000. Object: ballpoint pen, brand new, blue ink, reading, 17.000. Object: 2 ballpoint pens, brand new, 1 blue ink, 1 black ink, reading, 17.000. Object: fountain pen, used, belonging to Dr. Reading, 1128.323. Object: ballpoint pen and Dr. S fountain pen, reading. The reading fluctuated between 17.000 and 1128.323. Dissimilar objects placed on the scales at the same time appear to confuse SCP-1144. Dr. Object: BlackBerry smartphone, belonging to Dr. Reading, 408.031. Object: BlackBerry smartphone, belonging to Dr. Battery removed, reading, 430.032. Object: BlackBerry smartphone, belonging to Dr. Battery removed, SIM card removed, reading, 15.732. Object: 5 pounds note, reading, 43.23, 3 halves, fluctuated between 0.232 and 0.2333 times over the space of 20 minutes. Object: 10 pounds note, reading, 54.31, 1 half, fluctuated between 311 and 0.3123 times over the space of 20 minutes. Testing II. Experimental data log, involving doctor and senior researcher. It was postulated by senior researcher that the transparent cage could be removed. With approval from doctor, the cage was disassembled with relative ease, and the components were placed in a large brown envelope, to be labeled SCP-1144-1. SCP-1144-1 does not appear to have any extraordinary properties. However, it remains to undergo further investigation. With SCP-1144-1 removed, SCP-1144 continued to function as before, albeit without the constraint of the shielding, allowing much larger objects to be measured. This log documents the findings of the main research team, 2 months after the initial series of observations. Object: 30 kg steel weight, reading 0.003, Object: 60 kg steel weight, reading -0.006, Object: A Brief History of Time, Stephen Hawking, Book, reading 30.663, Object: Developing Java Software, Winders and Roberts, Large Book, reading 10.002, Object: Senior Researcher, reading -0.502, Object: Doctor, reading 13.603, Object: Laptop. Belonging to Doctor, off, reading 150.002, Object: Laptop. Belonging to Doctor, on, reading 158.031, Testing III, Testing III, Experimental Data Log, involving Doctor and Senior Researcher. This log documents the findings of the main research team, 1 day after the second series of observations. Object: Dr. S. Wedding Ring, 12 karat gold, reading 30578.453, Object: Senior Researcher S. Wedding Ring, 18 karat gold and electrum, reading 2331.453, Object: 5 pounds note, reading 41.30, 3 halves, fluctuated between 0.303 and 0.3025 times over the space of 20 minutes. Object: A picture of a 5 pounds note printed out on paper, reading 0.302, Object: 10 pounds. Note, reading 51.41, 4/5, fluctuated between 0.414 and 0.4155 times over the space of 20 minutes. Object: A picture of a 10 pounds note printed out on paper, reading 0.301, Object: 20 pounds note, reading 60.37, 4/5, fluctuated between 0.374 and 0.3755 times over the space of 20 minutes. Object: A picture of a 20 pounds note printed out on paper, reading 0.302, Object: 50 pounds note, reading 112.2, 29/30, fluctuated between 0.229 and 0.2305 times over the space of 20 minutes. Object: A picture of a 50 pounds note printed out on paper, reading 0.300, Testing IV, Testing IV, Experimental Data Log, involving Doctor and Senior Researcher, as well as 2D class personnel. This log documents the findings of the main research team and their test subjects. 2 days after the third series of observations, Senior Researcher and I brought the 2D class individuals into the room with the scales. I positioned 2 nondescript white sugar pills on the measuring pad. The reading was -0.320. I introduced myself to the individuals, a man and a woman, and told them that the pills on SCP-1144 were able to grant 100 extra years of longevity on ingestion. Senior Researcher noted that the reading changed from -0.002 to -0.031. I proceeded to take one of the pills and dry swallow it. The reading changed from -0.031 to 3.503. The D-class personnel were dismissed afterwards.